We live,
There it
baby.
is. There it is. There it is. Peace to the guys. Peace to the guys, man. Hey, welcome to another episode of Deconflicted, the podcast where we talk about the three D's: discernment, decisions, and deconfliction. You know what I mean? I'm one half of the host. My name is Antoine Jarvis. My brother right here has no problem introducing himself. Go ahead and let the people know who you are, brother.
What's up, world? I'm the man, Brian Boggs. Just here to do what I can, when I can, how I can.
There it is. There it is. What we're going to talk about today, the topic is an interesting one. I thought it was pretty interesting. And when I bring things to my brother, man, the way his mind works, and how he can turn something into something bigger, man, is so beautiful. It's a beautiful marriage between minds. You know what I'm saying? The topic today is manipulation ever for the other person's benefit? And I just wanted to what's your thoughts on that? Can it ever be a possibility? Because I've heard some people say, well, you got to manipulate this person into doing better for themselves, right?
Right.
Can you, as a business owner, right? As a business owner, could you ever imagine manipulating somebody, or do you believe that it's possible to manipulate somebody to do better with their own life?
No, I do not. So, first things first, I want to give you the definition of manipulation
Okay,
per WebMD.
okay,
So,
okay.
and like, so per the dictionary, it's the action of manipulating someone in a clever or unscrupulous way. But in WebMD, it says manipulation is the exercise of harmful influence over others. Harmful. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
So the
So,
idea of it is,
and I've always felt that way. I've always felt manipulation is negative in nature. Inspiration is positive in nature. Inspiration and manipulation are like love and hate.
ooh, wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Just by definition alone, it's negative.
Yes, by
So,
definition alone.
so let's look at some examples of manipulation. So let's look at okay. So if a person does something, right? Let's look at relationships. Perfect example, relationships. If a person does something and turns around and says, "Hey, I didn't know I was doing it," um, can we say if a person tries to turn around and and again, some people say, depending on a person's age will determine their maturity on how they can, if what they say is actual or not, right? So the
Maturity has
age
nothing to do
plays a
with age, brother.
okay, so then let's address that, because remember when we were talking about something before, and we were talking about age and everything, and I was just like, nah, a person's a certain age, then a person should be able to, you know what I mean? And I associate age to experience.
I do
You know what
too.
I'm saying?
I totally agree. Age correlates to experience.
It correlates to experience. So that's why I say if this person has been on earth a little bit longer than, been on the earth a little bit longer, than their experience with these certain things should be XYZ, right? Now, if we're talking about, it's because even saying that out loud, I'm putting the expectation on a person, obviously, that I know I ain't got no business doing, because I'm gonna let myself down putting these type of expectations. Okay, this is why I like having these podcasts with you, brother, because now when I say things out loud, I'm like, okay, cool, man. Those expectations is always gonna let me down,
Yes.
and I end up manipulating myself, now expecting. Am I making sense? I'm
Yeah, you
expecting this
make perfect
person
sense.
to operate a certain way, and now I'm manipulating myself because that person's not capable of operating that way, because I held them to a certain standard that they don't even hold themselves to.
Right.
Oh man, this is a whole nother. See, I went a whole different direction. Okay, let's go back to my initial thought behind it, right? My initial thought is a person that has more experience on earth, right? If they come to the equation and they say they're doing something, right? They're doing something, uh, let's say for attention. Let's say I look at it, they're doing it for attention, whereas they look at it as they're not doing it for attention. You know what I'm saying? But their actions but the actions of the individual can look like, from the outside in, looking in, can look like they're doing it for attention. Um, is it a form of manipulation if they really believe? How do you determine if it's manipulation? Like, if they really believe that they're not doing what they think they're doing, how do you determine? What are some examples of determining it's manipulation or not? That they're trying to convince you that they're not doing something.
So there's a legal term called willful ignorance,
Okay.
and a lot of people like to utilize that action where they act like they don't know something is something when they know it is. Like, so here's the thing, like, okay, like in that situation, anytime you're doing something for other people to see, you're trying to get attention. That's just what it is. Because if you wasn't trying to get attention, you wouldn't care if other people saw it. Period, point blank.
Hmm. So nobody can tell you. Nobody can tell you. Well, I'm not doing it for that.
Like the whole thing is like, for the purpose of doing anything, it's to get attention. Like, you don't do things to not get attention. That's like, and if a person believes that they aren't, they're being willfully ignorant about it. Because if you're not trying to get attention, then why do it?
Then why do it? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe some people do it. I'm assuming, right? We're going into the assumptions. Maybe some people do it for attention, but they've convinced themselves it's not this type of attention that I'm trying to get, or that type of attention I'm trying to get.
See, now you go into a classification mindset. I ain't classifying nothing. All I'm
Yeah.
saying is what it is. Now you can get into the details, and that's what people like to do, especially people that manipulate. They like to get into the details of something to try to steer you away from the other possibilities of what something is. But at the end of the day, what is what is. I don't
Mm.
care about the details. That's the reason why I say the
Mm-hmm.
devil's in the details. That's what the devil at. I ain't going in there. I don't need to go in there. I can see from the 3,000 feet view what that is.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. So if manipulation is the idea of doing something that's harmful to somebody else, because I
What's the
honestly don't
influence, the
feel
harmfully influence?
the
Because,
harmful influence.
and the reason why it's considered harmful is because whenever you're manipulating someone, you're manipulating for yourself. You're manipulating them to do something for you. You're trying to control their reaction or their response to something.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I see that a lot on I mean, we live in a social media world. You know, what I mean, that's just our reality. We live in a social
Right.
media world. And so because we live in a social media world, it's easy for people to it's easy for people to get distracted from, what they normally do, how they normally do things, and what they've told themselves they would never do, to what they now do, because now there is a payoff now. You know what I mean? So if I get a little bit of attention, my payoff is somebody's going to say something, right? I don't even have to respond back. I can just look at it. You know what I mean? And I just got compensated for my action. You know what I'm saying? And I think that in itself is where the challenge comes in, because I can tell you, well, hey, well, I'm not, I wasn't trying to do this for XYZ, but ultimately I just wanted the attention. So now I got the attention. I don't even care who it's from. I just wanted to feel that attention. And I think that that's where the challenge is. If I think that that's where spiraling can start to take place, because now we're convincing ourselves that I'm not doing this for XYZ, but I'm still doing it. And then when I get what I want out of it, I start to realize, well, oh, shoot, if I do this, I get this reaction. If I do this, I get this reaction. And now let me keep doing this right here, because the reaction I'm getting, it makes me feel good. So now I was telling somebody the other day, I said, man, hey, listen, um, attention is currency. Attention is currency, and the reason why I say that is because people are doing. We live in a social media world where if you are on social media, then you can see all those people who are doing tons of different crazy things for attention and views, right? To the point to where I remember that dude who used to rob people, on his videos and take off running and stuff like that just to get the views. And then he went through some things, drug addiction and all this types of other stuff that came with the need for going down that path. Um, and the reason why I'm speaking on this to touch on the manipulation concept of it is that I know me personally, when I do something, I don't do it I do it in the form of inspiration, but it can come off as manipulation if most people don't even know the simple definition of the two.
Your intent and the impact to them, that doesn't devalue what you're trying to do. So you could totally be trying to inspire someone and they could think you're trying to manipulate them. But again, that's their problem, not yours. And so like I've been through that a lot. I've mentored folks. I've talked to a lot of people, family members, and people sometimes think I'm trying to manipulate them to do something. I'm like, look, first of all, if I wanted to manipulate you, you have to be doing something for me. I'm not trying to get you to do nothing for me. I'm trying to get you to do something for yourself. I'm trying to inspire you. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you think I'm manipulating you, I'll back up and leave you be because again, that's not my intent. And if the impact of my intention is hitting you different than it should, I'll stop. Because again, a person can only receive the message that they're educated enough to receive, you know.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it all starts internally on the other side. So if they're not in a position where they can receive information and use it to the best of their ability,
Right.
they won't be able to do it.
That makes sense. And I think that's where we got to start meeting people, doing a better job and having conversations to understand people where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Practice the actions of discernment so we can really get an idea of where people are at because it's a little bit more challenging to make a decision on something if we have a clouded expectation of somebody else based off of our own interpretation of who they are and where they're at in life. I think we
absolutely.
got to do a better job at this, the discernment piece of it so we can know if I bring this up to this individual, are they capable of having the conversation about it, or have they not gotten to a space to where they even had the opportunity to reflect on themselves to even see if, you know, how they're looking at something is, can be taken the wrong way or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like we said before, the 3Ds. Um, and I think that I make the mistake myself as a human being. I make that mistake myself sometimes is, I expect people to operate from a certain position just because of their experience on earth. And I think that that's cheating a person, even though my intent is for the best. It's putting them in a position to where if they don't fulfill what my expectations are, they can feel ostracized. They can feel like they're not doing something right, and that in itself is not conducive to a healthy relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
conducive to inspiring somebody, because inspiration. Can you knock down the definition of inspiration real quick, man, so we can see the differences between, obviously one is, something that's going to benefit somebody, and the other one is something that's going to um, cause them to operate from a headspace that isn't, again, is not conducive to their own benefit.
All right, check this out. So inspiration, the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. Uh, and another definition is the drawing in of breath inhalation. I didn't know nothing about that. Now let me go to, here you go. Yeah, same thing.
So
So
to
that is the definition of inspiration. To be
run that
mentally
first one.
stimulated
Mentally
to
stimulated.
do or feel something.
Mentally stimulated to do or feel something. Okay. Okay. See, I like that because even, I mean, we're all practicing this thing called life every day. You know what I mean? Where we're trying our best to be better versions of ourselves and um, also try to, inspire the people around us. I don't think nobody, or I try to see things as, people don't go through life trying to be negative and trying to put other people down. It just ends up happening because, we don't
No,
make the
that's some
time to
people do,
reflect. Excuse me, some people, but I try to err on the side of, you know, uh, the side of the people that I know for a fact, the people that I'm around, you know what I mean, do their best to err on the side of inspiration versus manipulation. But I think a lot of us do not even know the definitions of the two.
Now that's it right there, and that's the reason why I say inspiration is so much better than manipulation. Because see, manipulation in itself is all about the control of another person to do something for you. You're trying to control somebody. Where inspiration is, you're trying to stimulate them to do something or feel something. That means they're doing something for themselves,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's that unselfishness that comes in. And that's one of the biggest problems with manipulation, because it comes from a place of selfishness.
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think um, when you look at it, there's multiple different forms of inspiration on how to inspire somebody. But I think that the key thing is actually getting to know the person that you're dealing with, because it comes off as genuine when you make the time to get to know the person that you're working with or the person that you're dealing with. It comes off. It's easier to receive when you're actually touching on things that inspire them based off of things that. Um, about qualities or traits that they actually have versus just blowing smoke. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Right.
from time to time, I know me myself, I got to work on that. I got to work on that because sometimes I may think that I'm inspiring, but even if we just look at the definition, right? Sometimes we could, as human beings, sometimes we could be manipulating because we want them to do better, but we want them to go this direction versus them being able to pick their own direction.
And that's what I was about to touch on right there. Like, so with you saying that, I want to get to know someone better, get to understand them better, to better inspire them. But actually, what happens is you actually end up manipulating them, because now you understand what buttons you can push to get them to act in a certain manner. See, inspiration, think about it like this. Have you ever heard a song that inspired you, or seen a piece of art that inspired you? You didn't know nothing about, you didn't know the artist personally. You
Hmm.
didn't know anything. It's just, but when you saw that piece of art, it stirred something in you and stimulated you. And that's the same way. Like, so I tell you, so like, I have conversations with my little brothers all the time. And one of my brothers, he's doing really great in life. And we were having a conversation. We this was a while back. He's much better now. But we would talk, and he would say, "Hey man, you need to dumb that down." And I'm like, "Nah, you need to up your understanding." Like, even though I know I could have said it in a way where it got and was received to him better, that wasn't the intention. The intention is, I'm gonna say something, and if you are thrown off by it, if you stimulate it, you're gonna up your understanding. You're gonna try to see, okay, what was he trying to tell me?
Hmm.
And then you'll do your own investigation, your own illumination, and you'll be better suited for it. Instead of for me to knock down, to simplify what I'm trying to say to you, because now you're just going to get it at a simpler form. I'm trying to get you to understand the complex version.
Cognitive development.
Absolutely.
And and that right there in itself is even as parents we fall short of that sometimes. Again, if we don't make the time to actually try to understand the people that we're trying to relay something to, it's going to be challenging because, like you said, when somebody tells you I need a layman's version of this, and you like, well, no, that's not my intent. I really want you to step up to grasp the concept I'm trying to present to you. It doesn't make no sense for me to step down when I see the potential of you. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? I know you can step. If I did it, I know you can do it.
I
You know
believe
what I'm
anybody can
saying?
do it if they want to do it.
Anybody can do it if they want to do it. And I think it's just really boils down to seeing, um, because a lot of people will get in their heads, and this is why I try to err on the side of when I'm dealing with people, I want people to understand there's a difference between a hand up and a hand out.
Facts.
And if you don't understand that there's a difference, take the time to go realize, go research what the difference is, because there are people on this earth that are getting, you know, what I mean, that are coming across opportunities. People are presenting opportunities, and they're looking at those opportunities as handouts. So now they get to thinking, oh man, this dude just trying to keep me down. He's just trying to keep me under his thumb. He don't never want me to grow, or she don't never want me to grow or win or none of that type of stuff. So they get to thinking this person is really out to see them lose versus at the end of the day, a person is only supposed to, especially if it's your friends or your family or things like that, at the end of the day, and they don't have to if they don't want to, but if they really your friends and they really value you, it's not their responsibility to put you on payroll. You know what I mean? It's really, at the end of the day, the kindest act that they can ever do is present opportunities for you. That's it. If I'm your friend and I got access to these opportunities, I'm gonna present them to you. It's not my job for you to run with them and turn them into something. It's just my job to present the opportunity. If you can actually
Exactly.
take that and do something with that, bro, we finna kill the game. And that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning right now. When it comes to dealing with manipulation and inspiration, is being able to see the difference.
Yep.
You know, I'm seeing the opportunities around me, and I'm like, man, this one I'll jump on. This one I'm not too sure about. This one I'll jump on. This not. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm seeing like, man, the more I grow as a man, right? The more I grow as a thinker, the more I try to inspire myself to inspire others based off of taking on this information and then being able to utilize that information. Um, the more I realize, like, man, it's important that you're around the right people. It's so important that you're around the right
Hey,
people that
the
can
people
do
you're
that.
around matters more than anything.
Oh man, listen, hey, brother, hey, this is why I enjoy the podcast with you, brother, because again, these are building moments, right? And the more I learn about inspiration versus manipulation, the more I realize, even by accident, right? By accident, we can be manipulators.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Like we don't even be trying to manipulate, but we end up manipulating because we don't know the difference between the two. We
But the
don't
thing
know
is,
how to exercise the differences between the two.
but the way you can always tell whether or not you're moving down that path, vice the path of inspiration, is are you looking to dictate terms on another person's behavior or actions? If you're trying to dictate
Mm.
terms on how another person should move, you're manipulating them. Now, if you're just
Dang.
presenting information to them for them to take it and develop themselves, now
Right.
you're inspiring them.
Dang, that's cold. That's a moment of reflection right there.
Yeah.
That's a moment of reflection right there. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm looking like even with my sons, you know, dealing with the whole going from this branch to another branch. I'm like, you know, part of me is like, bruh, you'll see more of the world if you go this way, but they still want to go this way. And I'm like, you know, even though I'm saying, it's cool, it's no big deal, you know what I'm saying? And part of me is still like, man, you're gonna be missing out if you go that direction. And that's as a father, that's doing more manipulating than inspiring. You know
It
what
is.
I'm saying?
It
It's
is.
doing
I mean,
more
but you're
manipulating
not
than
doing it from a
inspiring.
bad place.
No, 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 no.
You
But
know,
it's
but
still
at the end of the
manipulation
day, it is
nonetheless.
manipulation, though.
You know what I'm saying? The intent is can be good as much as possible, but it's still a form of manipulation, and that's the last thing
Absolutely.
I ever want to do for anybody in my life. You know what I mean? That's why I always like, hey man, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I'm not trying to tell you what to stop doing this or stop doing that. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. If you want to make changes, then that's up to you. But I don't, I'm not, I'm just saying, hey man, it was brought up. You know what I mean? We can have this conversation, especially if you really love and value people, and these people are really your friends or family members. We should be able to have this conversation with each other. You
Facts.
know what I'm saying? Because the goal is, I want you to be inspired. I want you to do amazing things in life. I know you can do it. You know what I mean? Shoot, I know I can do it. I'm going to do it. The people that you surround yourself with is extremely important to the development of that way of thinking. Because, like you said before, hey, the people are important. So if I'm only dealing with people who don't know how to get inspired, right? Don't know how to find the beautiful things about life and seek inspiration in that, then unfortunately, it's you're gonna go the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, man. People, the people you have around you are so important in the development of everything about you,
True,
from your
true,
mindset
true.
to your development of yourself intellectually, spiritually, emotionally,
Hmm.
and the people around you will dictate the type of experiences you have in your life.
Mm,
That's why it's so important to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that would rather inspire you than manipulate you.
mm. And
You
that's
know what I'm
key.
saying?
Yeah, that's key. That's
Absolutely.
key.
Because it's so important. Because, you know, just like how you were talking about your son, you know, I had a similar situation with my son, you know,
Hmm.
where he wanted to go to school for one thing. And instead of me telling him what to do, I said, hey, man, I just want to lay out some information to you, you know,
Mm,
and we talked about STEM degrees and the real purpose behind getting a bachelor's degree and its impact on his outcomes down the road. And then at the end of that conversation, I said, well, now, you know, you can do whatever you want to do, but I just want to make sure that you're seeing a complete picture before you make a decision. Because what I don't want is you make a decision based upon your limited experience.
mm. That's important. That's
Yeah,
important. Being able to take in the information so you can process the information in such a way that your decisions don't become clouded is so important. It's so important because
informed decisions. That's what you want.
right, that's what you want. That's what you want because it's so easy to just take in information every day. So as soon as we pop on our phone, it's just information overload.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if we can get to a point to where, and there's tons of easy ways of doing it, creating the habit of writing down things. I'm learning the power of writing down things. Within this last, I want to say 3 months, I have rekindled, if you will, the understanding and the spirit of um, order, if you will, and order within my own life. You
Right.
know, I can't control anybody else's life, but order within my own life and being able to see the importance of if when I write things down, right? Um, the benefit of writing things down and using my calendar. Like these are things that are so simple, right? That we don't even do them.
Hey, the importance of good habits.
The importance of good habits, man. The importance of good freaking habits because these habits are what forms or what assist in forming who we are.
Absolutely. Your
You know
habit
what I'm saying?
define your actions.
Bingo, bingo. So being a winner is that's based off of your habits.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to see that, if you don't want to be successful in life, um, from my perspective and how I look at it, right? If I tried to convince myself that being successful was not important, I think that that's a form of being selfish. Um, Especially because I know within me I have traits, I have attributes, I have things about me that are so amazing that I can contribute to the world. I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't tailor those things or work those things out to make those things stronger in my life, if that makes sense.
Right. I
You know what
got
I'm saying? And that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on right now is
yeah.
writing things down, being more organized, and taking those and then taking those organizational skills, honing them, and then being around the right people, seeing these opportunities, and then just running with them.
That's the key is being able to see opportunity.
Mm,
Opportunity is around us
everywhere.
all the time.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's just whether or not you have the right prism to see it. You know, it's like white light, ultraviolet light from the sun. When you're just looking at it, it's just regular white light. When you put a prism through it, though, you see the spectrum of color.
Mm. And going back to the manipulation piece of it, I was listening to Andrew Tate and while I was working out, man, and the brother's mindset is very unique, right? Um, and it goes back to the importance of knowing the difference between inspiration and manipulation. The brother said, when I go into he said, when I go places, man, I look for opportunities, right? He said, when I go into a coffee shop, right? When I go into a coffee house, I start looking around. I start seeing where are the opportunities in this, right? Okay, there's a bunch of businessmen in suits in here. Why is there a dude working behind the counter? Matter of fact, in my mind, I would hire an attractive woman behind the counter so that way, because I already know that men are going to want to keep coming and keep coming and keep spending with me just to get her attention and just to be in her space. And that's one of the things I'm starting to see when we're talking about inspiration. Um, it starts within. We got to start really looking at within ourselves and saying, okay, what are our habits? What are the things that we're doing now, right? That's going to set me up to be able to recognize these opportunities because a lot of us are running around with this victim mentality. Oh,
You
this
got to
person's
look
trying to see me
inside.
lose. Man,
You got to look inside.
come on, be like, listen, if you're not looking inside, if you're not looking inside and you're constantly looking at everybody around you and trying to point out the fault in everybody around you and say, this, I'm not hanging with this person because they do X, Y, Z, you can never inspire.
Never.
You can never inspire
Let me.
because
Let me.
if you, I'm going to say this real quick and let you touch on that.
All right.
Hold that thought. If you really want to inspire, it's going to come with you making the time to work on yourself and then see things in other people that you can now allow them to bring out within themselves. Go ahead, brother.
So,
Touch on
so
what you're
yeah.
about to
Now,
touch on.
speaking on that looking inside piece, and the reason why that's important, especially so that you can shut off the exercise of manipulation and start utilizing the exercise of inspiration. Most of the time, whenever you see something in somebody, when somebody's doing something and you don't like it, it's always something inside of you that's triggered. It's, and we always want to tell other people what they're doing wrong and what they need to do. That's the manipulation. Instead of looking inside and saying, okay, you know what? What I'm seeing, it makes me feel this way. So I need to do this different for myself. So instead of
Mm,
telling them to do something, you do something for yourself. Now you've inspired yourself to put yourself in a better position now where you aren't getting triggered by a person's actions or responses. And when you start doing things like that, you
mm-hmm,
you you get to a place called peace. And when you
mm,
get to that place called peace, man,
mm, mm-hmm.
everything is available to you that you think is available to you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all about how
Man,
you see it and think it.
I think I'm glad you touched on that, man, because it's one of those things where you start to realize we're not saying at all it's not going to be work.
Of course, it's always work.
It's
Everything you
going
do
to
is
be
work,
work.
though.
It's going
Everything
to
you do
be
is work.
work. But as human beings, man, it's something beautiful. I know I go through it. I know you go through it as well. So I can only speak for us based off our experiences with each other. We get a kick out of seeing people do well. You know what I'm saying? We naturally, genuinely get a kick out of seeing people do well, seeing
We feel
people,
good when other people do good.
man, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially when they do good for themselves. And
Facts.
and again, it's definitely going to be work. Um, but but the realization of understanding that the work starts within is key, because
Yes.
again, cognitive development is so important. We don't know if they have responsibilities growing up. We had no clue. We had no clue if anybody allowed them to be able to be creative on their on in their developmental years. So now they're adults, and if we don't make the time to learn their learning style, we can't really inspire them because we don't know them. You know what I'm saying? And I think the challenge is
I still don't
with
think.
us. Go ahead.
I still don't think that your knowledge of a person dictates how much you can inspire them. And that's the reason why you get
Okay.
motivational speakers. You don't know those people, but people go to motivational speakers because they inspire them. So I don't think that there's a requirement to have this good personal knowledge of someone in order to ins- be inspired or to inspire someone.
Okay. Okay. So then let me better qualify, because again, and I've said this on numerous podcasts, you don't know what I'm thinking. So
Right.
so in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying, our day-to-day relationships, you know what I
Right.
mean, with people we dealing with, um, while you're thinking, well, hold on, it can come from a different. So again, you are absolutely correct. From that position, you still can inspire. In my mind, I'm thinking, you know, from coworkers to relationships that we're in, um, to our kids, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature, people that are arms distance away, you know what I mean, is important to get to know those people, the people that we're going to see constantly, so that way we can figure out different ways to learn them and inspire them, and then by their inspiration it ultimately allows us to continue to grow and blossom, because we're also inspiring ourselves, seeing the development of others. So I had to just put that disclaimer on there, because I
Right.
I, I have to remember, you can't read minds. So Twan, a better fit your responses based off of the
Articulate
fact
what you're
that
trying to say.
there you go. There you go. Do a better job articulating that. And man, and listen, that is me, allowing myself the opportunity to, um, learn from myself.
I do the
You know what
same
I'm
thing
saying?
every day, man. I'm learning from myself. I'm always, like I said, I'm always in a position where I'm always trying to do better the next day than I did the day before.
Hmm.
And the only way you can do that is with introspection. You got to look inside to see what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could have did better, and and,
Hmm.
and, and map a route or a plan to correct your deficiencies if you feel you have deficiencies. You
Correct.
know,
Correct.
and for people that don't feel they don't have deficiencies, that's a deficiency.
Correct. Correct. No, yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perspective is everything. Yeah,
Absolutely.
perspective is everything. Perspective is
Absolutely.
everything.
So yeah, so like for myself, I'm always just trying to I always try to see things from another person's perspective and how they see it. And I even if I disagree with the perspective, I don't disagree with the person. I just disagree with the way they see it. Because you're entitled to see life as you see it. Because I don't walk in your shoes. I have not had the set of experiences that you've had that have caused your vision to be the way it is. So I'm not going to say that your perspective isn't valid. It absolutely is,
It is.
100%. What I like to do is I like to offer my perspective, or sometimes I offer a perspective that neither one of us has really considered, just to illuminate an opportunity to inspire better action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I didn't see it this way, but maybe it could have been this way. Because because when you try to look at things from an angle that you didn't consider before, that's going to stimulate you, and that's going to cause a mental exercise. So it's going to get the gears turning
Mm-hmm.
to look at what kind of outcome could come from a thought process like that. And if that outcome looks positive in nature and look like it provides benefit to you, I'll say the likelihood of you utilizing it is high. But then there are
Mm.
some people that no matter how much positivity they see, no matter how many different perspectives they get from their flawed one,
Mm-hmm.
let me not say flawed one, that was wrong. Their perspective, because that don't make it flawed. It's their perspective,
Correct.
it's
It's
how
just
they
their
saw it.
perspective.
Whatever has made that come together. Some people don't like differing from what they've always known. And that to me is sadness and death when it comes to the lack of growth.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as a human being, we are required to continue to grow. If we stop growing, we've expired right there. We
Right.
cannot be any better, and we should always strive to be better. And that's and when people and I'll say that when people stop growing, that's when they go to manipulation more as well. Because since they can't grow anymore, or they don't want to see things in a different way, they choose to be willfully ignorant. They'll rather control the narrative, control the way another person is going to see something so that they could bring them to their level and keep them there.
Mm. I could see that. I could see that. Let me bring you down. I choose not to be, to articulate myself in such a way that, you can understand me. So what I'm gonna do is because I refuse to grow, I want you to keep coming down to my level, keep coming
Yep,
down to my. That's a cold piece.
that's a cold piece.
That is a cold piece. That is a cold piece, and that's why it's so important, like we said earlier, to be cautious of the people you surround yourself with. If you're in a relationship and you're not inspired by the individual, that's something to consider. You know what I mean? If coworkers or your work environment, um, it's either one or the other. It's either manipulation or inspiration.
Yep,
You know what I mean? That there is no fine line. There is no gray area in that. It's either you're doing one or you're doing the other. The intentions may vary, which we covered
right.
before. The intentions may vary, but the results are still the same.
Like they
You know what I
say,
mean?
the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Hey, facts, facts. Hey, straight up. You're not wrong, man. It's paved with good intentions. And
Yeah,
again, we can think of it as parents, when we want our kids to do X, Y, Z, or because we've had a little more experience with life, we want them to, but we can't live their experiences for them. You know what I'm saying? Nor should we try to convince them or manipulate them, if you will, to see things from a way of, from our perspective, if it's not from the perspective of, here's the information, here are some tools to decipher and discern that information, so that way you can make an educated decision. So that way, there's no conflict in any decisions that you're making moving forward.
right.
Man, that's a beautiful piece right there, man. You got anything else you wanted to touch on today?
Uh, I say the last little piece I want to say is,
Hmm.
people have been so accustomed to the utilization of manipulation, and sometimes for their own survival. And I get because again, manipulation is about self.
Hmm.
But if you want to have a better existence, you do better by inspiring folks.
Hmm.
Because if you inspire folks, people at least I feel and think that people want to coexist with other good people and help others when they can. So if you inspire positive thoughts, you're going to inspire reciprocity in a time of need.
Mm-hmm.
And manipulation is going to bring about negative emotion. And I would just say, look to inspire folks. It's a much better result than looking to manipulate folks.
That's real. That's real talk. That's real talk. Again, um, I'm just gonna piggyback off of this before we get out of here. I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. It requires work. It requires work. If you're not constantly working on yourself, man, then unfortunately, and you have to have the mentality of, if I don't know something, I need to go figure it out. Don't try to
Facts.
wait for somebody to come and tell you or teach you that concept. You
I
know what I'm saying? Like,
know
don't
exactly
wait
what
for
you're
this
saying.
person to say, "Oh, hey man, let me stop what I'm doing. Let me stop my progress of my day to show you how to do X, Y, Z." Hey, hey, we have literally a handheld computer. Now, I'm not saying believe everything on the internet. We all know that that's something that we shouldn't do. I shouldn't have to explain that, but I am going to touch on that. However, there's enough information in there. There's enough tools that you can utilize at your fingertips right now to be able to take the information and process it in such a way that you can make your own decision based off the material that you're coming across. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think that is the key to, like we talked about before, being somebody who inspires versus being somebody who manipulates. And then we just go from there, man.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Hey, another good build.
As
Another
always.
great opportunity to share these ideas. And as you noticed at the very beginning, I was able to, as I'm talking out loud, man, I was able to process a few things during this conversation, man. So again, I always appreciate, what I mean, us taking the time with each other, man, to be able to build like this. And man, I appreciate everybody who's listening,
Indeed.
everybody who's taking this information and utilizing it in such a way that they can deconflict any environment that they're in, for the betterment and for the good of everybody. So it's a win-win versus a win-lose um,
Facts.
situation.
It's
Outside of
collaborative,
that, man,
vice
it's
adversarial.
collaborative. It is. It's collaborative. We working together because at the end of the day, that's what we need to do.
That's what we
You know
need
what I
to do.
mean? That's what we need to do. It's not about how much you make. It's not about what you look like. It's not about none of that type of stuff. It really boils down to the the root of everything, which is we all humans. You know what I mean? We all in a burning building, and we all need to try to get out that burning building alive.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, outside of that, man, peace to the guys, man. I appreciate you guys, for tuning in. You guys enjoy the rest of the day, man, and peace.
Already, brother. Beautiful day.